Welcome back, folks, legends from the ladders, as we have got the Muslim once again on the Ottomans, this time on Dry Arabia, but going up against Louis MT on the Delhi. It's always a fun matchup to watch, actually, because I'm still looking for the person that can crack Ottomans with Delhi. Because my original theory is like, you know, Ottomans, a lot of how they play feels like Delhi on a delayed trigger. So my theory was always that Delhi would be the answer to Ottomans. But whenever we looked into, like, you know, competitive play, I felt like I was watching Ottomans dominate the Delhi constantly. So maybe I've kind of missed something in the last week or two in 1v1s. Maybe it has switched up. Maybe the Delhi are taking their rightful place and stomping the Ottomans. But from what I've seen, the green flaggers here, the Ottomans just seem to be dominating with the archer build, really. Just one-dimensionally so. We'll see if it plays out that way. Louis is definitely a very talented player. Top 30 on the leaderboard, in fact. So no pushover for sure. And then, of course, the Muslim needs absolutely no introduction. The Muslim is Hippo, if you guys haven't clocked onto that yet. Always in the top 5 on the leaderboards. Every season, every time we look. The commitment this guy has to the game. Big shout out to Benny Boy. He loves a bit of Dota on the side too, like me as well. He has gone for the immediate military school. Just trying to get a few spearmen out. Maybe try to clash, try to have an opportunity to contest any attempt to quick wall these sacred sites, because that's something that a lot of Delhi players like to do, is pivot into a few spears and then try to wall everything off. In fact, I'm going to once again do that speed up. I quite like the speed up in this situation. As we're not going to get any aggro plays necessarily. Just a few spearmen just kind of probing in the mid-map, possibly. If I'm Louis, I don't want to go spears at all. Like, the most logical build for my opponent is going to be archers Sipahi. But if I rush spearmen, then the archers get value. I'll definitely want spears eventually to deal with Sipahi. The alternative is you just go into horsemen as the Delhi player. Just do horsemen archers, which can be pretty effective. Curious to see if Louis wants to try going for a Tower of Victory type build here, because something's got to be said about Tower of Victory. It would give you an edge over what the Ottomans milk, right? Which is these archers that are unbeatable due to the meta. But if you go for the Tower of Victory, you're going to get a 20%. Yeah, there we go. We're going to get the 20% buff in attack speed compared to a 15%. So you'll actually have an edge, and you don't have to rely on a formation or a unit being nearby. And the cool thing about doing this from Louis is if Louis chooses to now maximize his archer count, and the Muslim shows up to a fight with 1 or 2 metas, if you instantly just snipe out those metas, all of a sudden the Muslim can't fight. He has to run away. Pretty cool play. First spearman being a pain in the ass, but Scholar, we'll deal with that. Shiv's even out to ensure it. Now, the downside to what you're doing here is it does mean you have to pay full price for the Scholars. So Louis has to be very careful about the way they flirt with the mid-map, because unlike when you go for the Dome of Faith, losing a Scholar here or there isn't as much of a shrug. Cool side of it, though, is if you do have enough gold incoming, you can build up your Scholar mass very quickly, remember. Because usually the Dome of Faith, 45 seconds. If you build them out normally from a mosque and pay the full price, it's only 30 seconds. We'll be getting a second mosque on the other side. And this is due to the fact I think he wants flexibility of where he's going to produce his units from. Because remember, the way the Tower of Victory works is now any military production buildings under the influence of these mosques are going to produce quicker. Not produce quicker, sorry. Are going to give archers that shoot quicker. He will also get into the quicker production, possibly. Yeah, wow, he actually took it straight away. It's interesting as well, because like sometimes players don't really care as much about going for the military efficiency if you don't go for the Dome of Faith. Because with this build, the whole logic behind going military efficiency is you bank a Scholar and you save money. But because you're paying 150 gold, you're actually saving nothing when you go and bank them inside archery ranges and other production buildings. The plus side, though, is if you get Sacred Site control, it's much easier to afford extra gold than afford extra wood. And yes, I are live right now. This army. Watching these Gs at AoE 4. Double archery range build. So we are getting the expected outcome. And that means Louis' comp will be very strong against this. Horseman now being added in as well. He's playing very defensive for the opening here as well. He doesn't want to reveal his hand too soon. The logic is he wants to force the Muslim to commit to enough, come out to the mid-map, and then surprise Mother Ducker, I've got you. Cool thing is he built his archery range about the same time, but then he banked the Scholar sooner, so he has a slight production advantage. but the Muslim will escalate past this. Typically, the Ottomans build into the third archery range by about 9.5 minutes. Moving out first by Louis. Sipahi are here. Similar numbers to the Horsemen. Remember what we said about the meta. If you can snipe it out. The problem is, in small numbers of archers like this, you can't go after the meta. Cool thing is you don't have to here because you have that attack speed buffer. You actually have the edge over what the meta provides. Scholar being targeted here. And, oh, a missed micro by Louis. He pulls back the army, but leaves the Scholar behind. Heavy cost 150 gold. At least gets vengeance for it, though. Strikes away at the Horseman. Nice peel to the side and nice turnaround. Louis with the counterattack will force the Muslim away. Now, the Muslim somewhat happy with the fact that he got the Scholar. That's going to slightly delay Louis' timing, but it will not prevent him indefinitely. Remember, if you back away from this fight now, you're up against the Scholar's healing, which means all this damage you've done, all these units you did not finish off, that damage is fully going to be removed. And great play to the north side by Louis as well. Was able to go for the capture up there. We'll have to move away now with the Scholar. Should be able to do so quick enough. Although that waypoint did not do himself any favors. Yeah, he's dead now. If he walked away straight away, I actually think Louis gets away with this. But he just threw away a Scholar for nothing. So I think he did already have the cap. Like, yeah, maybe you delay it, decap him by like 2 or 3 seconds, but like ultimately it would have been better to keep the Scholar alive. And now his Horseman's also just going to be wasted. Maybe a little bit of mismanagement on the midfield there by Louis, but still, he's dictated pace on the south side. Problem is now he's blocked in the center. This is where the Muslim is going to try to fight him directly. Behind this, how's the base layout looking? Oh, look at that sexy ship. Should say sexy when there's tentacles on the screen. That probably sends the wrong message. Oh, look at that. No, don't say it. Don't say it. Louis. Trying to mass Scholars now, but this is where it gets difficult. I would prefer that he keeps the Scholars at home and then like peels off troops that are injured. Simply because when you are up against this many archers, similar to the metas, right? It's going to go both ways here. Like your most important unit could just be insta-sniped. In fact, the Muslim might want to invest in more metas to prevent this being a problem. Because if he loses the meta, he loses the fight. It's simply the way this works. Archers. Coffers are running across. Horsemen are able to wrap around, though. A good fight, actually, for Louis. As long as he gets out of here quickly now. Reinforcements have arrived, so the Muslim with the clear numbers. Louis with the slow retreat. Remember, he's up against that movement speed. This is the problem. When you're outnumbered like this, you lose. Louis in full retreat. He did at least get the walls up, so there won't be a cap coming out. Remember, there's a heavy investment into range from the Muslims, so no burn damage. But you see the problem that Louis has. You can never run away. You have the attack speed buffer to beat the Ottomans in equal numbers, yes. But if you don't have equal numbers and have to run away, that formation, that movement speed will crush you. The Muslim now circling like a shark. Sees an opportunity, he starts to move into the eco. Textiles were taken, but with this many archers, lives are going to be taken. Scholars also offered up for free. Louis, the micro feels really off, right? Like, there's been a few different moments from the way the Scholar was retreating on the south side, the shenanigans around the Sacred Site north side, and the rally points with these Scholars initially at the mosque. Just these small mistakes are things that the Muslim will look to milk. And he is fully exploiting them right now. Ram's now being built up, and this is another downside of going for military efficiency over building additional buildings, is if you do end up being the defender, taking out one building is taking out 2. This is going to force the clash. Louis has to commit. Horsemen trying to wrap around. Archers will stand their ground, though. Meta, love that pullback. The Muslim understands. If he loses that attack speed aura, he'll lose the fight. But if he keeps it alive, he can win this. Now the Horsemen all gone. It means the Ram can just reign supreme. Scholars being sniped down. More archers on the way in. These Scholars, I mean, this is the price he lost here. Archer count is more or less even in this fight. So Louis should be able to defend. The meta gets sniped out. So now Louis with the full advantage. The Muslim will at least look to snipe out the stables. He takes plenty of Scholars with him. Archer mass looking like it will be wiped in the end, but at the end of this fight, I do feel like the Muslim got the better side of it. Just needs to get out of what he's got left. Rams were not able to finish off the stable in the end, so good save there by Louis. Remember, he still has 2 sacred sites, though. So while the fight did go slightly in favor of the Muslim, eco not necessarily. to remember, this build, primarily the thing that you're building passively is Sipahi, not archers. Looking at the numbers right now, the Muslim is at least keeping the Delhi tide in check. Remember, one of the big issues with Delhi that you encounter is they tend to snowball their numbers after sequential fights, always peeling off the injured people and healing them up. But that's not clearly happening here. Chamas willing to fight again. Meta's on the wrong side of this, so Muslim will pivot the right way. Now, he can just chase with the formation if he wants. If he formation shuffles in, he'll always gap close. Yep, there we go, straight away. No, this is a full retreat from Louis as well. I mean, this is dangerous to forfeit this area like this. Decap's going to occur on the north side. Central Sacred Site begins to be captured, but troops are going to be redirected there. I'm worried now. I mean, Louis, he reboomed his scholar count, but a lot of them are heavily injured. Just being picked apart like this. I'm also just looking at the military count at this stage. I mean, this is not how you want to be playing Delhi. If at any stage you are being outnumbered, you're losing. Louis' goal with the Delhi, as Delhi always is to mass cheap troops and efficiently trade. There is not much efficiency to be seen here. He's trailing by 1,000 resources in the exchanges. Now, more rounds being committed to by Muslim. This time when he comes in, he'll be able to shut down those stables. Muslim. Even if you get this flank attack as Louis, it's not going to do much. Like, small quantities like this many horsemen, you do get annihilated by the archers from more or less one hit. Moving again, the Muslim. He understands his power in this. His timing is good. Also, keep in mind that this is a feign attack. Even if this doesn't work, the Muslim's teching up. And Louis, look at Louis' numbers. He's nowhere near ready. This could just decide the game either way. Even if the Muslim somehow gets pushed away from this, the fact that he's teching up, the moment the Castle Age comes through, Louis should know it's over. Unless he somehow wipes the enemy army and has 30+ military left himself. It's a high order, though. Houses set fire to. The Muslim backs away. Doesn't want to just forfeit map control over like that. Rams are going off the houses. Love this choice. Just block your opponent from escalating, which is exactly what he's doing here. It's like 2 houses about to go down. So pop cap situation for Louis. Idle villagers as well as they have to chase after these Rams. The Muslim, look at the wraparound. He understands the lay of the lands. The game's gone on too long. There's no way Louis is at home anymore. He has to have gone for pocket ecos. And what a place to strike here. He'll snoop it out. He sees the deer stack, but that's not the value. If he goes after the berries, that's 10 villages that could go down. Instead, to Muslim, he's going all the way around the back. He knows the wood line was forced elsewhere, and let's face it, Delhi, with this type of comp, you're playing heavily into wood. Quick reaction, though. Demu, now heading north side. Louis, playing from an age behind. An eco behind as well. You can see the lead that's been built up to Muslim. 8 villages ahead. And actually, if the Muslim just peels off the Sipahi, he can chase off these villages. He doesn't need to bring the whole army. But he'll eventually get it, just because of the meta movement speed. But credit where credit is due. Louis is wasting a lot of time. A lot of the Muslim's time, that is. And he's taking that opportunity to now strike in. This tech up potentially leaves the Muslim weak. What a read by Louis. But with a lack of siege and a lack of mass melee, what can you really do with this dive? Probably not much. I mean, you can stand here for a while, but you're not going to torch down buildings quickly. That seems to be his goal. Moving in with the horsemen. Scholars looking for the heals. The Muslim, honestly, I think he's going to get home in time for this. This is not doing enough damage. Small groups of archers just trying to poke and prod at the economy. The Muslim, reluctant to move away. He wants all the gold he can get, but finally it's time to go. And now he's on his way home. Villagers have led him home. I think this is game in favor of the Muslim. Like, this play by Louis really is an all-in kind of gambit. He's not taking up behind this. He's building more military. He's got plenty of scholars, yes, but once these archers arrive at home, the healing isn't going to matter. Like, you can't heal what's dead. I'm going to mention the fact the first mango is about to come out. Which days Louis' stay in this hotel is over. He is approaching that Sacred Site victory, though. Just a small 10 minutes away, folks. Don't be baited by the writing. We're nowhere near that time. If he made this play with 2 minutes left on the clock, maybe. But with 10 minutes left, this is just a death waiting to be embraced. A nice attempt by Louis. Love the bait. Made the best of the worst situation, but credit where credit is due to Muslim. He exploited a few missteps by Louis in that early mid-game. A few losses that shouldn't have occurred of scholars and troops here and there. And that small lead snowballed for the Muslim. And that's why he will take, in the end, a very comfortable win here on Dry Arabia.